As we said in the last video, we don't want this cancel and continue button just floating up here and nowhere. It was just a temporary spot for us to program it. We want it to be down on this button line right here. And you're probably going to notice right away that these buttons have nothing to do with find mode. And there's some undefined ones. We don't need to have these in find mode, but when we go to find mode, you'll see that they're there. Let's show you how to hide those. So I've pulled up, as I always do, I often pull up the FileMaker Claris help inside of a web browser, and I'm specifically on get window mode right here. I use this all the time. Get used to finding it. This is help.claris.com. I'd get used to finding the stuff. And you'll notice that get window mode says returns a 0 for browse mode, a 1 for find mode, and these aren't really that important. It's really the first two, 0 and 1. So how can we use that? Let's take a look at it. We'll go back to FileMaker here, go into layout mode. I'm going to do a bunch of work at once here. Select all these buttons on this row right here. Go to hide object. Type in get window mode equals 1. I'll copy that clipboard because I'm going to be using it a lot. And very importantly, apply in find mode. Otherwise, you're going to be, why is this not working? We have to tell it to work in find mode as well. And watch what happens here. You see them in browse mode, but as soon as you go to find mode, they're gone. This is how we're going to differentiate browse and find mode. In the old days, you would make a completely separate find layout that would include just the buttons and fields and whatever you wanted on that layout, whatever you could find by. Now we can do the opposite with these two buttons up here. So come over here and say get window mode equals 0. Remember, hide object wants the opposite. Says hide object when this is true. It's a little confusing. Remember that. Get it? I sometimes mix up my left and my right foot. And if you don't understand this, that it's different than conditional formatting, the way that it applies things, make sure you grasp that because it's going to be whatever you do in hide object is going to be the opposite everywhere else. So let's see how that works. So you can see now they're not there. As soon as we go into find mode, boom, they show up. Perfect. It's exactly what we wanted. So now we can put them where we want them. So go into layout mode, grab these two buttons, drag them over here somewhere after these last two. Oh, 1 pixel off here, or 1 point. And then I'm going to send them to back. Because really the buttons on top are what I'm going to be programming most. I'll know that they're, I'll remember they're there. But that's one of the trouble with stacking stuff is you got to know it's there. So we can see how it works now. If we go to find mode, those buttons appear. Other ones disappear. It's great. So let's see what else we can do here. We need to probably put some different buttons here because people will, in a fairly basic find, will do new requests. You'll have to do a little bit of training for them because it's not as simple as straightforward as a regular find, but it'll be very helpful for them when they do some slightly more complex finds. I'm not talking about, doing, omitting and stuff like that. Let's just do the basics. That we want to, instead of new customer, we want new find request or new request, duplicate request, and delete request. So you can work a little bit with this. That's about as far as I usually go. It's really up to you. So I'm going to I think I'll take these buttons right here, duplicate them, right? Move them up there and change it to get window mode equals 0, right? And let's see how this looks. First of all, I'm going to go into find mode. And you can see the calculation on the button even works in find mode, which is great. So go into layout mode here, change that to new request. We're going to keep this, we're not going to say new customer request. That'll be obvious by the label up here. So new request. And The script stays the same, new record / request, depends on what mode it's in. That's why it has that slash. Duplicate request, same one, record / request, and delete request. Now in this one, we will change it to single step, remove that perform script. There we go, delete record, and no dialog. I'm going to choose no dialog here because I really don't think if they're deleting a request, it's not that complicated. It's not like an entire record where you may have 50 fields filled in. This is pretty simple. Okay, so now we've got these. We can put them right where we want them. Over here, get them right on top. I probably missed again. No, I got them in the right spot. And then arrange and send them to the back. Go back to browse mode. Our buttons are there for the actual new customer, delete, so on. When we go into find mode, we'll see our new buttons that will do what we wanted to in find mode. So all this change really helps the person out. Now, one thing I don't like is in find mode, see how we kind of get, if we get a new request, this part works right here, the 2 of 2, or if I switch to the first request, 1 of 2. But this 100, we really don't need to know that they're a record. This means nothing in find mode, so I think we need to get rid of it. And it's not that difficult. So go into layout mode. Oops, didn't mean to do that. We'll open that back up. I'm going to duplicate this with the keyboard command, move it over here. I'm going to remember what the width is, 243, because I may change this because I'm going to take this part off right here, first of all. We don't need that at all. But we should properly put in request count. So if we go in here and insert our symbol, there we go, our other symbol, type in request, there it is. Put it right in there. And I'll make it smaller like the other one, although what I'm worried about is making the text block bigger, and it didn't, which is good, but I'll still make it smaller so it fits in there. Just makes the text block easier to work with. And it should go right in the same spot. That will be get window mode equals 0, apply in find mode. Don't forget that one. I'm going to come in here, click on it, send it to back. Click on the one that's in front, which is the one for browse mode. Apply in find mode, paste, keep it at 1. Let's see how it looks here. Okay, so we hit find. You see much better. Just those little details, it's less confusing. Wasn't that hard to do, it took us 20 seconds to do. Now there's a lot of things we want to hide here. So let's go into layout mode. Let's try to start from the upper left hand. We don't need this one, right? And I'm going to hold the shift key down so I can select multiple buttons, right? See all these buttons I'm selecting? Now we've got a little bit of a problem here because these already have hide objects on them, so it says multiple values. So we can't always do these all at the same time. Like this one has got an is empty. Doesn't even apply in find mode, so we might have to do these one at a time. There we go. Let's see how that one works. I put an or in there. Go back to browse mode. Go into find mode. That button's gone. Great. We don't need that button in find mode. It doesn't do anything. Well, it will do something. It just might not be what you want it to be. So we'll go ahead and cancel this. Go into layout mode. Okay, so that one has nothing on it, so we can do that one, these two at the same time. Paste, click. I think these two have the same. Okay, or paste. Now I'm going to forget to hit these find mode things. In fact, I may have done it on here. No, I got on those ones. Okay, good. And those have different things on them, so there we go. Or paste. Get this one. And there's already an or in there. We'll put another or. Either one, any of these can be true for it to hide it. That's what it comes down to. Okay, get this one, paste, apply in find mode, this one, or paste, and apply in find mode. All these down here, we don't need these. And we don't want to apply this when they're grouped. We could, but as soon as you ungroup it, that hide object will go away. So if I go in here and paste this in here and click that, and then ungroup these, range ungroup. There it is. Notice it gives me that warning. The selected group of objects includes at least one object whose visibility is controlled. So it's gonna delete the calculation. So in my opinion, most of the time you're better off doing this, ungrouping them. And we already, this time we don't care about it, but it normally wouldn't have given us that message because I didn't have that in there. So now they're ungrouped. Now I can select them all together, apply that, right? Now each one has it individually applied. It's a very quick calculation, so you don't have to worry about speed. So you could do them all together if you want, if you're really worried about speed, but get window mode is so fast. It's not like you're looking at a related table and it'll slow things down. But I can now group them together, right? And get that ability to move them together and you're fine. But you can see each one has the eyeball on it, which means it has hide object on it. It's up to you. Certain things we don't want these showing down at the bottom. Paste it. There we go. We don't need this button. And we're bound to miss them. And even during programming, you're bound to miss them. This whole thing here shouldn't show. So I'll do this one as a group here. Again, it creates a little bit of a problem when you want to modify it. Of course, you can come in here and modify something by clicking a second time, but things don't quite work in as well in this little window of modification. I like to ungroup things in general. It's really up to you. The map shouldn't show at all, so can't find on it. So there we go. And let's see what else we have. I think we got just about everything, but all you have to do is do a quick search or look in find mode and see what we've got. Now I'm just realizing that, well, I'm not sure why notes went away. That shouldn't have done it, but everything else looks pretty good. Let's cancel this. Do we already have that set to hide? Yeah, it looks like, oh, I set these all as a group here. That's what happened. I didn't realize that. You may want to search on the notes, so I'm going to ungroup it. Just click on the button, paste. There we go. Good. So we go to find mode. There it is. The map's empty. We don't need that directions button, so let's get rid of that. Paste it. There we go. Go into find mode. You notice that the map's gone. Now you may also want this tab to remove itself. That's a little bit more complex, and we will get into that, how to do that to make conditional tabs. But for right now, it's not that easy. It's not just simply, I mean, you can come in here into layout mode and double click on it and get yourself a calculation right in here, but it'll only make a little sliver. If you tell it to say empty, it's not going to make the whole tab disappear. You actually have to do some other fancy workarounds to make that happen. So there's what you want to do. Now we have a proper find mode, one that looks like find mode. In fact, some people might even put the word find up here at some point. There's a lot of other things. You could turn this red, make it stand out. But I think right now, when you look at find mode, in fact, I want to get rid of these portals here. Well, I guess the portals are okay to search. They're not that bad. Um, it depends on whether you think that people understand how the find works when it goes through a portal. But you might. But I can also see how people definitely would want to find by phone number. The only problem is on this, again, is you have this phone number here, right? They have to type it in like this. They can't type in just the digits. So to do that, you'd have to create another calculation, which we'll do in the next video.